the Sawmill Saloon, 1313 North Sherman Drive.
They're here. They have no violations at the time. There's one pending, but they do have remonstrators against the permit.
Sure. You know the routine, don't you, Mr. Staab?
I do.
First off, the board would like to say thank you for waiting patiently. We know it's a long time, but we do appreciate that. Nothing will change from the last process. We will have a chance to allow you to speak. We'll hear from the remonstrators. After that, the board may have some questions, but you'll have the final say, and then the board will cast a vote. Everybody clear? Great. Okay. Ma'am, if you would like to identify if you want to identify yourself and your relationship to the business, please.
Patricia Mowry. I'm the owner of the sawmill.
Did you say Mallory?
Mowry.
Mallory. Thank you. All right. Ma'am, is there anything you'd like to say to kick off before? Or do you just want to go straight to the remonstrators? Or?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Ma'am, really, if there's something you'd like to say, now's a great time.
Well, I closed down the business because it was just, the people were coming in and just really getting crazy in there. And I just didn't at this time until I wanted to regroup and try to reopen, but it's just, I don't know, it's been tough going back in there and trying to clean that place up from what it was when I went in there.
So right now it's not open?
No, it has not been open since the 28th.
Okay. Have you made any plans to reopen? Is there a date? Is there a time? Are you not sure? Or are you sure you're not going to?
I don't think we're going to.
Okay.
We might turn it into a restaurant.
What kind of time limit do you think you would need to have an answer on that decision?
I don't know. We haven't. Well, we were just waiting to see what happens here at this board hearing. Even though, they may let us keep the liquor license, or if we still have the liquor license. I don't know that we're going to sell liquor on the premises.
See, a lot of that is some of those decisions are the part that the board could use that information to make a decision.
Yeah,
but if we don't have that information, if you're not sure yet, then we'll just have to make our decision.
We really want to reopen, but there's so many different ways we're going to have to go about it now. The area has just changed so much in all the years that I've been there. It's not the same like it used to be, and I've taken every kind of precautions that I possibly can.
Well, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but would you consider taking your liquor license somewhere else?
Yeah,
that's what we want to hear.
Yeah, we might go ahead and do that at a different location. We would like to be able to do that, but at this time, we'd like to be able to put them in escrow until we can make that decision. There's just been a lot of things that had happened on the 28th, so.
Do you own the physical space, the structure?
No, I do not.
You're leasing that?
Yes.
You own the liquor license, and you've been in that space for how long?
A lot of years, on and off for about 19 years.
And then just best of your knowledge, how many violations do you have? Not with today's decision?
I think I had one over in 20 years.
Great. Ma'am, now's a great time. Would you like to tell the board what you think happened? I mean, I know you weren't there, but do you have any?
I was there.
Oh, you were there? Well, then tell us what happened.
They were just sitting at a table having a good time. And then a girl says something to another girl. One gentleman chimed in. The other guy chimed in. And now they're in a verbal argument. So we take it outside. The security guys take it outside. Well, instead of the young guy first that left, instead of him just leaving, he waits for the other guy to come out. Now they just want to fight. And then from there, they're out in 14th Street. The police have been called. I don't know, just then somebody got a gun out of their truck and just started shooting.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with the board. Well, could I ask you quickly, what criteria would you use to decide if you are going to stay in this business?
Well, definitely a different location.
So you're stating you're not going to open this up in that spot?
No.
Okay. Just looking for clarity.
There's just been a lot of issues surrounding some of the people that come in here. And I've tried and tried and I've tried. And I know if I've tried, I don't know.
Okay.
Are you the
Maybe
sole
somebody
owner?
else can do it, but I just don't think I can do it.
Well, I appreciate that honesty. And are you the sole owner?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Would you like to hear from the remonstrators?
Excuse me, now, turn up a little bit because it's hard for me to hear. I've known Patricia for 25 years.
And ma'am, if you don't mind, just state your name and who you are in relation to the
Christy
business.
Benson. I live directly across the street from
Okay.
Sawmill Saloon for 5 years now.
Okay.
I've known Patricia for 25.
And you're a friend?
I was a worker.
Okay.
Where I worked in the kitchen cooking on and off until I got sick in 2008. And I will say that this woman turned that tavern around to a place where hard workers could meet and have a good time on Wednesday night throwback soul night, on the weekends, DJ, and she always kept it secure and safe. I know because I live directly across the street. It's
Sure.
not only you. It's been hard for all of us in that neighborhood and her to get where we live. We all agree in different ways. But I want to say that this woman's character is wonderful. She turned that bar around in a matter of a year and a half that she's back, not just on the outside, on the inside, and the quality of people that are coming in, hardworking people. She serves free chicken on Sundays. The masses come to get fed. She charges $1 for a drink, and they get to eat for free. I have nothing bad to say about this woman except for she turned that environment around to something that she employed people that counted on her to feed their families. I just watched this evolve in the year and a half that she's been back. Because we lived there for 5 years, I've seen it. I've seen what it was. And then finally those people were gone and she came in because I know I worked for her since 1994, off and on at the Sawmill, like she said, for 19 years. It's sad to me to hear that she's not going to open it because that place isn't part of me doing that.
Sure.
It was one of the first places I attended bar when I was 21 years old, and I'm 47 now.
And so this is a testament in favor.
Testimony of
Her character, who she is as a
absolutely,
person.
she can't control what happens in
oh,
the streets.
drunk people with guns. Yeah, we'll get to all that, but I appreciate your time here to speak on behalf, and thank you for that. Sir, I didn't have a chance. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Page. I represent the Sawmill.
Great, great. All right, would you like to hear from the remonstrators?
Sure.
Okay. Who would like to go first?
I guess I would start. My name is Chris Staab. I've been in the community for 30 years. I'm a at-large member for NESCO, the Near East Side Community Organization, the umbrella for 20-some neighborhoods on the Near East Side. I'm chairman of our NESCO Liquor Committee. I'm also chairman of a Crime Reduction Code Enforcement Committee. To be honest with you, ma'am, I have been to your establishment many a time and have enjoyed myself many a time. Your establishment for many years was a landmark on the Near East Side and a very pleasant place to go to. So I do not question your character whatsoever, but at some point we know things changed. Probably, couldn't tell you exactly when, maybe 5 years ago, 4, 3, somewhere in that area. The crime rate after midnight seemed to escalate dramatically between midnight and 4 a.m. as opposed to the other 20 hours of the day. There was that spike, and that really frustrated the neighborhoods. Obviously, we don't know what brought this on, whether it was a management. We know that obviously there were a sale of your business or license to another entity to try to come up with a nightclub atmosphere as a neighborhood bar. If I remember right, you really weren't open much past midnight. I don't remember ever being in there after midnight on any of the occasions I was there. So I mean, at this point, I'm relying on what my experience was with you. We have heard with a lot of members from the community, and to be honest with you, we would love to see this turned into some type of a family restaurant, but we feel that it has a negative crowd that's attracted to it after midnight. The amount of gunshots that are reported to the Marion County Sheriff's Department is just astronomical. The amount of police incidents that take place between midnight and 4 a.m. is pretty much staggering as well. We know some bad decisions were made that Sunday morning. It wasn't your fault. But at this point, the community had scheduled for a safety meeting on February 1st. We actually were going to talk about a completely different item before the tragedy happened at your establishment. And at that point, the community really needed to know a lot of answers. And I know maybe that wasn't an appropriate time because there was probably a lot of grieving going on between not only yourself, members of the community, members of the families. Obviously, you weren't participating in that discussion. There was a lot of discussion, and we obviously do not want to shut down a business, but we cannot allow a bad business to stay in operation. And at this point, we probably would love to see a restaurant come back, but not a nightclub. If there was any way to guarantee that, we probably would think very, very positive about that. But at this point, the community actually would probably request that we have a denial on the renewal of this license, just for the fact that we know some bad decisions have been made in the past. We obviously don't want to open that door again for future bad decisions. We know this building is set up to be a very good restaurant. The community does not want to see this building shuttered. They do want to see something happen, but they want it to stay family-oriented and not a nightclub. So we feel that by allowing their license to continue, that possibility exists that it still could come back as a nightclub. And at this point, denial of the license would pretty much guarantee that yes, this would be more of a family type establishment, whether it be you that runs it. We understand you're trying to sell the building, the establishment. The community really takes this very heavily, that we do not want to force you out of business. We want this to be your decision, but from the community standpoint, we have to look at the option of what could happen versus what we would ask to happen. And that's where we would ask for the denial of the license renewal.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
If she wanted this license to go into escrow, at that point, this board votes today, she still owns that license. If she wants to put that back into that location, she would have to come in front of us for...
No, she will not.
Not if she goes in the same location?
No, she will not.
Okay, so I guess I'd ask for a commitment on that. What if she wanted it to go into escrow? Is that a problem for you?
The permit is currently in escrow now. So what happens is, at any time, someone can request that their permit be placed in escrow. The commission grants that for 1 year. Each additional year, they have to send in a progress letter to the commission saying what their plans are with that permit. And they can request another year up to 5 years.
Okay.
So at any time, she can pull out that permit out of escrow and make it active again. If she decides to change location, then she would have to come before the board for a change of location. But if it's going inside the same location, then she can open it up and be open tomorrow.
Very informative, thank you. Okay.
I don't know how we could make a commitment that would state that if she had it in escrow, that next month it opened back up as a nightclub.
No, you can't. That would be
It wouldn't a
that
legal
would
commitment,
be-
we can do a commitment of character?
No, that wouldn't even be reasonable, because her permit by law will require, I mean, there's certain law requirements that we have, that we can't make her enter into an agreement that's something that's illegal, and that would be something that's illegal.
Okay, all right. Ma'am, would you like to identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Marguerite Topping, and I am a member of the Little Flower Neighborhood Association Safety Committee. I am a resident of Little Flower, and as a resident, representing the residents of Little Flower Neighborhood Safety Committee, we've been concerned with the increasing criminal activities and violence occurring in the location of the Sawmill Saloon. What has not been clearly stated is that 5 people were shot on the morning of January 29th. 2 of those people died. This establishment is on the western border of our neighborhood. The Sawmill Saloon, as we've established, has been a long-established venue, but in recent years it's adopted very late night hours of operation till midnight on most weekdays, and then on Fridays and Saturdays it's open until 3 a.m. with people lingering outside until whenever, because it's not a fenced parking lot outside of the establishment. This has led to the venue being a general hazard for the area, especially in regard to the gunplay that we've already discussed here. The representatives of the Little Flower Neighborhood Association Safety Committee asks to deny the liquor license held by Patricia Maury presently. I don't know if if the sale of the property is actually a fact, or if Ms. Maury is intending to sell her lease to the property. I'm not clear about what is happening with the actual lease, but if she's not operating the business, then she doesn't need the liquor license, and anybody else who would like to obtain the business or lease the license could certainly come here and obtain their own liquor license. We're making such recommendations also as part of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, and who has come to us as well as on our own behalf. Indianapolis, of course, averages 6.7 homicides per 100,000 residents. Now, this is about twice what Los Angeles does at 3.7 murders. So we need to support our IMPD in addressing crime overall and where we can in our own neighborhood. There is a long list of criminal activity at the Sawmill Saloon. And let me let you know. Earlier in previous years, in 2014, there were 7 total runs for criminal acts or violent acts at the sawmill. In 2015, there were 27. Now, yes, last year when when Ms. Maury took over the management of the business herself and did not leave that to other people as in previous years, the number of runs increased to 31. In May, there's a fight at the bar with a serious violent felon with a handgun. In June, there were shots fired with an arrest. In October 2nd, shots were fired with an arrest. December 3rd, there was a large fight with shots being fired into the nearby Rich gas station and the attendant neighborhood. There was a large fight on December 17th with the IMPD having to deploy pepper balls to control the participants. Most of these disturbances have occurred in the late night hours, around midnight, closing during the weekdays, and after midnight, between midnight and whenever people decide to leave on Fridays and Saturdays. While they have while the sawmill operators have employed off-duty IMPD officers to serve as security during 2017, they continue to employ an overall insufficient number of trained, reliable security personnel. The late-night altercations also appear to be exacerbated by the owner's policy of allowing clients to enter the premises right up until closing time of 3 a.m., rather than bar new customers' entry at or around 2:30, so that you can clear out the clients that are there on the premises, and secure the area, clear the premises and the surrounding parking lot of customers and persons loitering. This pattern of failure by the sawmill owners to properly and safely control activities on and around their property culminated in the shooting of 5 people and death of 2 people, Duran Gray and James Ratcliffe, in the pre-dawn hours of January 29th, Sunday. From the Fox 59 broadcast, they stated that a shooting left 2 men dead and 3 others wounded outside a crowded bar on the east side of Indianapolis, the sawmill. At least 5 people were shot, including a security guard, but witnesses say it's a miracle more people weren't killed. It was crazy, the witness said. There are tons of people out here. Anybody could have gotten hit, said the witness. Neighbors say violence at the sawmill is not unusual. People are always out there fighting. On the weekend, it gets really busy. And bullets don't have eyes. You never know who a bullet may hit, or whose house or resident may be hit in the adjoining neighborhood. The ongoing mayhem and criminal activity at the sawmill have apparently concluded for the moment. I don't know if the lease is up for sale, the property is up for sale, or both. It's not the fault of the property that these tragedies occurred and lives were lost and irrevocably changed. The sawmill owners may have managed to control some objections over the years from their closest and most vulnerable residents, because they own and rent out 70% of the adjoining residences. It must be made clear that such hazard events and careless management will no longer be tolerated by the Little Flower community at large. The closure of the sawmill alone shows that the owners, while not directly responsible, have contributed to the hazard there and may indeed be negligent in some regard. While nobody wishes to restrict anyone's commerce or the right to do business, the Little Flower Neighborhood Association Safety Committee members believe that the sawmill owners will continue to endanger their customers, our residents, property, and businesses in the area if they're allowed to renew their license. Because bullets don't have eyes, so you never know who or what a bullet may hit. Please deny this license today.
Thank you very much.
My name is Sergeant William Carter. I represent the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. If the board recalls, we were here January 3rd of last year. The permit had been set for a transfer to some individuals, I believe, that were running it on a questionnaire. Ms. Mallory appeared at that time, and we were concerned on January 3rd because of a large fight that I was dispatched to at the location in October the previous year. And we had discussed the 1 year. She was going to take the bar back and manage the bar itself and kind of push away that clientele that was from the previous people that were running it. And unfortunately, you've heard testimony about the January 28th incident. There was 5 people shot and 2 people were killed. But looking at your exhibits, one of the things taken into account on Exhibit 1 is on the second page of that, you'll see number 52. That's the number of police officers that responded to that run that night. 52 police officers responded. That's a very, very large use of manpower. You guys have heard me say, call us, we'll come. But to use that many people to gain control of a situation, and obviously it was a very large incident with the number of people that were shot, the number of things to process, but 52 officers responded that night, and we were there for many hours. The case is under investigation. We do believe we do have the shooter in custody that was shot as well that night. But the testimony that you've heard from both the neighborhood organization and Mr. Staab is kind of the same concerns we have. I'm going to show you, this is the fights that occur at the location usually happen around 3 o'clock at closing time. The video I'm going to post was posted on social media in January of this year. It's my belief that this is a fight that occurred at the location on the December 17th incident that you heard about, the pepper balls. Can you guys see that? You need to turn the light up.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. This is 14th Street. It's very icy. To the left is going to be Sherman Drive. The sawmill would be to the right.
It's women and men, or just women?
Women, and I'm not sure if the other these two are men or not.
Oh, those are women fighting. Oh. Now, is that on the property?
This is in the middle of the street, 14th Street.
In the middle of the street.
Just north of the property, adjoining the parking lot.
The parking lot's to the right where you're seeing the vehicles.
Was somebody filming that?
Yes.
You got a hold to it?
So that's your house there at the corner?
The 2 houses down there, so I see everything every night.
I'm going to stop this because I think the point's there. But you hear the car horns blowing, you hear the people fighting, and that's a lot of the complaints we're getting when it lets out. Fights like this will occur, shots will be fired. A lot of the exhibits talk about shots fired. January 2nd, it's a complaint that was received at 1244 of cars parked up and down the streets. The lot itself, I'm not sure what it holds, and maybe 30 or 35 at the most, I think. Exhibit 3 is a female that had run onto a rock, that had left the bar, that was intoxicated. 4 is another fight that occurred at 2:49 a.m. And that's when the pepper balls were deployed by the officers that were on the scene in an attempt to gain control of the crowd. Exhibit 5 is shots fired outside. A off-duty officer was working off-duty at the location. He was inside the business trying to get the patrons out of the facility. He was made aware by security staff that there were multiple shots being fired outside. This is when the gas station there was 2 businesses that received damage from bullets. Somebody shot the ice machine, and the other business, the front glass, was shot out of that one. Next exhibit is October 22nd, number 6. That's shots fired. Mel was arrested with a handgun by the off-duty officer. Exhibit 7 is October 15th. Female was struck in the head by a beer bottle inside. Exhibit 8 was a off-duty officer who actually observed a drug deal at the location. He observed a drug deal on the patio, got into a chase with the individual, recovered a handgun from his waistband. Marijuana, methamphetamines, and heroin was all recovered from the individual. Exhibit 9 is a female that was struck in the parking lot outside the Sawmill Saloon by a vehicle. Exhibit 10 is June 4th of 17, hit and run vehicle with a vehicle pursuit. The officer seen the individual hit a car in the lot. He tried to stop him. A pursuit ensued. The pursuit led through the neighborhood to the vehicle where it crashed at Linwood into a front yard of the business at 800 North Linwood. Individual was arrested for DUI, fleeing. Exhibit 11 is May 7th of 2017. There's a fight in the bar. Suspect fled. He was armed. The off-duty officer encountered him. And Exhibit 12 is a fight January 1st of 2017. The officer notes there's 50-plus people fighting in the parking lot of the location. Then October 23rd is exhibit number 13, which I've already testified about. A large fight inside the location. We initially were dispatched there on a person that had been shot in the head. I did respond to this location. I did respond to this run. It was 2:50 in the morning. A very large number of police officers responded. You can see the list is 20 officers did respond because of the large fight. We did find that there were shots fired inside the bar, but no one was struck. The injuries that was received, I attached some of those, and you can see the inside the bar where the fight occurred. Exhibit 14 is another fight that occurred October 15th, I think the weekend before, 3:01 a.m. Fight at the sawmill, and I believe this involves security. Exhibit 15 is the last one, and that's a security guard that was assaulted at the location August 12th of 16 at 12:24 a.m. I did attach behind that, there's a printout of the runs. It looks just like a W. I didn't put that in there as my initial, but it is the number of runs that at the location. You can see they're up and down. There's almost 31 and 17 and 30 and 13. And then the last is actually a printout of the runs to the location that I ran, just in case the board has any questions on the type of runs. From January 1st of 2012 to February 28th of 2018. Some of the things in there, obviously, that we would not penalize the location for is when you see off-duty employment. Is that something that would contribute to the total number of runs being 193 runs? However, those would not be runs that would be a problem for us. That's an officer marking off duty there. That's nothing that's going wrong there. So. I did stop by the location after the shooting, and Miss Mallory informed me that she was closing the location. So we were happy that she did decide to close the location. Again, my concerns would be the same as reopening and things continue to operate.
Can I say something?
Hang on one second. Go ahead.
Like I said, I've been there for 5 years. I see when the bar closes, I see it all. When my husband's out there, when she had the IMPD there, they always cleared that out at 2:30 in the morning. And by 3, there was nobody there. Silence for 5 years. I understand that there is a list of things that happened, but she's only been back for a year and a half. And it takes a good year to turn a business around, and she has. And that past step, I think she should be held accountable for that, because they went through a couple of owners, didn't know what the heck they were doing. They invited, in the community part, they're not speaking for all the community, because I went out and I got a petition started. And you know what the main thing that they said to me?
And then this is going to need to be the last.
This to be it.
Okay.
They wouldn't have a problem with the bar if it turned back into a country western bar, if they didn't like the fact that it was soul music and hip hop music. And that's all I want to say.
Appreciate that.
When did you leave, and where did you go, and who was running it, and when did you come back? Because the runs that I'm looking at that were given to us today is 2018 through 2017, and just 3 months into 2016. Were you there then?
I was there September 2016 is when I came back.
Okay.
And a lot of the police runs were on 14th Street was to Chrissy's house. Chrissy is mentally ill. And the police were called numerous times.
I think, to clarify, I think the question that you're really asking is, you've had this bar for how many years? 19 years?
Yeah, on and off for 19.
And that you have sold it in the past.
I've only sold it once.
Okay, so when you sold it, they changed the type of establishment, is that correct?
Yes.
And when did you sell that?
I sold that back in 2013.
Okay, and then you got it back in September of 2000?
No, it was in 2014, and I got it back in 2016.
Okay, in 2013, prior to that, was it the same type of establishment that,
No.
what kind of food did you serve and what kind of entertainment was there?
Same kind of entertainment, same kind of food.
But the
clientele
clientele
had
has changed.
Yes.
So the clientele has changed. So since you got it back in September of 2016, unfortunately, the same clientele, and you were trying to modify that and change that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of all that, culminating in this shooting, you have agreed to shut this establishment down, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your hopes is if you're going to open it back up, you want to work with the community,
Yes.
okay? Go to every meeting if necessary,
Yes.
okay? And hopefully up an establishment that doesn't cause these types of runs and, of course, culminate in this types of death. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Could you clarify, did you sell the liquor license, or did someone operate your liquor
Under your
license
liquor.
in that establishment? There's a very big difference.
They were buying it on contract, and they gave it back to me. I was hit by a tanker truck and broke my neck and my back, so I really couldn't work it, and I did have to sell it, and they just said that they didn't want it no more.
So the permit, at one point in time, she had the permit. She transferred the permit, was transferred in 2014
Yeah.
to, I think it was Indie Rhythm and Blues.
Yes.
And then 2017, last year, I think she took over back in September, October of 2016. We actually did the transfer back to her in January of 2017. So she's had it since then, solely back in her name. A couple of issues that I have is when you did transfer the permit back into your name, you stated here at the local board that you were then going to change the whole atmosphere because you didn't like the atmosphere that Rhythm and Blues had taken over or had made there. So you want to change it back to the good old days or when you first originally had the bar. So I don't think it takes a year to change.
No. The problem that I was having, a lot of the people that had been coming in with the rhythm and blues now was coming in and causing a lot of trouble. And it was just hard to get rid of them, and I ended up hiring IPD.
When did you hire IPD or IMPD?
I think it was back in January of 2017.
So right after the transfer went through, you hired
Yes.
IMPD to make a corrective effort
Yes.
to change the clientele.
Yes. Yes.
And here we are still in, let's say, December of 2017. The same clientele is still there.
Yeah, I tried country. They came. I even quit having no entertainment. I just had the jukebox. That, a couple nights, nothing. They still kept coming.
Ma'am, have you barred anyone from the
Yes.
establishment?
A bunch of people.
How'd that work out?
That worked out good. but some other people just kept coming. So, I mean, we serve a lot of good food there. I mean, we do a big business in food business. And so it wasn't all necessarily drinks. You know, a lot of people came there and got every one of their meals there.
So why not a restaurant? Why do you need this liquor license? Seems like that's the problem.
because-
I guess that's where I'm stuck at too, is that if you want to change your clientele, I think that,
It's a great way.
right, that's a great way, but it's just
Well-
hard for me to believe that after a year, you can't change your clientele.
Well, we closed at midnight during the week.
Sure.
And so on the weekends, we did stay open, but like New Year's, that was New Year's. We closed at
The
2.
5 was New Year's?
That was New Year's.
Okay.
And we were closed at 2 o'clock. They actually took that up Sherman Drive and they wrecked into each other's cars that night.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, further up the road, after they got done doing that there, we called the police up there, to try to break it up in the street. They don't care if the police comes.
Man, when you look at your revenue, we have 100%. What percent is alcohol?
Well, percent is like half and half. So, I mean, we do a lot of food there. I mean, a ton of food.
Then if it's half and half, you also do a ton
Yeah,
of alcohol.
A lot
Yeah,
of
we
drinking
do. We
in
do a
there,
ton of
yeah.
alcohol, but we also do our food is very cheap too. We make it very affordable for the neighborhood to come in there.
No, and that's fantastic. Just the board doesn't have any say-so on the food aspect.
Looks like that liquor is what
Always,
gets you.
every time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, is there anything you'd like to say? Anything more you'd like to say? We want to make sure you have a chance to be heard. We're at the end of the day here.
I would still like to keep my liquor license. I really have. I had a job in front of me, a lot more than what I thought it was going to be, and I really thought when I hired IPD that they were going to be there every weekend. They haven't showed up every weekend, even though they had a permit. So, I had security, and, if I had a crystal ball to know what people were going to do, I would be able to tell you that, but I don't. So,
When we think
it's
about-
hard for me to justify some of the things or some of the characters that I've met in there.
Some of those characters, do you think they show up if there's no alcohol in that building?
No.
Are they there at 2 o'clock in the morning on us? No, they're not.
If they don't get it there, they're going to go someplace
I agree to that.
else.
We're not
yeah.
going to change society's problems. You're right. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
But your sign says world famous Sawmill Saloon, good
Yes.
food, catfish,
Yes.
steaks and all of that.
We have
And
all
you
that.
say, but it also says drinks. But if the food is not, at a reasonable price and it's good, I would think,
Well, we run specials to draw a lot of people in there, like we do for the neighborhood. We do a catfish dinner, $6.95. That's very reasonable.
But none of, but that,
Has IMPD ever reached out to you with their security concerns? Because I've had some conversations with a few of the off-duty officers that work there for you.
Well,
And the
they
concerns that they had was that they told you specifically that they didn't feel safe working there by themselves. And
Right.
they tried to encourage you to hire someone else to work alongside with them because of the amount of violence and other things that were going on at at the location.
Yes, and I did. I told them they could bring a second officer. They said Saturday night was a big night for them there because of all the people that wanted to come there. So I told them you could bring a second officer. It wasn't.
can I ask you, is this about you hiring off-duty police officers as security? When you say they can bring,
Well,
maybe I need some clarity.
No, what it was they said that when they were coming on the weekend, that because of the amount of people, they felt outnumbered, that they needed a second officer.
Now, when you say coming, that's when you've hired them to come and be security
and I
at your
said,
bar?
Yes.
Well, that's not
But I can see why they would feel
Yes.
threatened. One person with all this going on.
Yes.
I don't know if revenue, I would imagine, was the generating force, because to me, I look back and I think about what you told the board at the time of the transfer, that you were going to change that whole business model. And I just find it hard to believe that it takes you a year to change that business model. If it was going to be a restaurant, then let it be a restaurant and not have a nightclub. If they were still coming, you know,
It wasn't
irregardless
even
of your
any
food,
music.
irregardless of anything else, if you know they were just coming there for just to dance or just to hang out, then why not shut your hours down? Why not take that part away from your business model until you start incorporating back in the clientele that you wanted there?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, well, we were going to just shut it down for a little bit. And before this happened that weekend, honest, and change our menu, change our hours, and we weren't going to use any kind of entertainment. We didn't even have any entertainment that night. Any of that happened. All we had was the jukebox. So they just came.
These
to
people
eat.
that were involved, were they regulars?
No.
Too? Okay.
I'd never seen him there before.
Do you have regulars
Yes.
that you see all the time?
All the time. And out of all those people, like 5 of them we'd never even seen before.
If I may,
Please.
in closing, I think it's apparent to both the board and the remonstrators that her reputation and character, I don't think is in question. After this tragic incident happened, she immediately closed down that evening and is not opened back up, is not intending to open it back up as the same type of establishment. She wants to work with the community. If in fact she can open back up as a restaurant, okay, to serve the community, that's what she wants to do, okay? This is affect her personally, emotionally, and obviously professionally, but when there's a death on site, okay, she's still in the grievance process, okay? And I think you can understand that based on just her testimony today, and I appreciate the remonstrators. But I think if she has the ability and the option to be able to put this in escrow, to work with the community, what type of establishment that they would want to be open, to make the community safer, okay, instead of closing this place down and it being abandoned, I think rather than being a negative type of establishment, based on her reputation, based on her character, I think we can work with the community and make this a better place.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary, asking for advice again. If we approve this in escrow, how long would it be in escrow?
Until she decides to pull it out.
Until she decides to pull it out?
Is there any commitments that we could make other than to the community itself? Or based on her character and
Legally, I don't believe so, because that's the way that the law is set, that she can put it in anytime she wants and she can take it out anytime she wants within that first year. The second year of escrow, obviously, she needs commission approval to keep it into escrow. But as far as the permit being released back to her, it's at her will. And I don't know if the commission would want something like that in writing. I don't know how binding that would be. So that's something that I would have to speak with the commission about.
But you're saying it's for 1 year. The escrow is every year she has
Up
to
to
go
5
back.
years, yes.
Okay. If she pulled it out, would she not have to come back before us?
No, she does not.
She doesn't.
She does not unless she does a change of location.
Yeah.
So let's say hypothetically, let's say that the vote is to approve her permit, right? So her permit gets approved today. Tomorrow, she can request for her permit to be taken out of escrow and open back up this weekend.
Because it's in escrow now.
Because it is in escrow now. Yes, it's currently in escrow now.
No,
No, the only,
moved.
right, as she moved locations and says, I don't want it at this location, I found a different location, let me pull it out, then she would have to go through the whole transfer of location process.
But she could pull it out and put it back here in Sawmill.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any further questions from the board? Everybody feel like they had a fair chance to be heard?
Excuse me, I would just like to say that the Little Flower Safety Committee in no way wishes to impugn Ms. Maury's character. I'm sure she is a great friend, as has been stated here. However, her capacity for management of the property, I think, has been pretty well established here.
Thank you very much. All right, no further questions from the board. I'll accept the motion. With that, I will make a motion. I'm going to make a motion for denial. And, ma'am, you can open your restaurant, and I hope you do. The liquor license is the part here that really concerns me. I'm going to make my motion for denial based on 127 or 1-27-3. Not the moral character, but yes, the permit premises has become a public nuisance and whether any criminal offenses have taken place at the permit premises. I feel like we've gotten a little out of control. Whatever the cause is, I believe alcohol is playing a role.
And I'll second that. Like I said, I'm just baffled that it's taken a year for you to change your business model. And unfortunately, during that time, 5 people have been shot and 2 people lost their lives. Because sticking with that same old model after you came before the board last year said that you were going to change it so these type of incidents wouldn't be occurring.
So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so we have 4-0. You can appeal this to the state. The state will take that to this meeting and hear this case, but today the local board has acted. Thank you.
It'll go before the commission. I'll probably set it in for 2 weeks before the commission. Commission will review it, let you know what their decision is. If they uphold the decision, then you have an appeal process to the hearing judge. But you'll be informed of all that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank everybody
you.
for their time today.
Thank you. For the record, I need for you and Ms. Howard to state the reason for your denial.
You need this?
Yeah. I'll do this in a second till we adjourn.
This one.
I'm denying for the reason because the premises has become a public nuisance, and whether any criminal offenses have taken place at the premises. So that is in 905 IAC 1-27-1 -127-2 and 127-3.
Ms. Howard? You're...
Yep.
Yep.
Are you denying for the same reason?
Same reason, sir.
Okay. All right, sounds good.